Okay, thank you. My name is Mieke Vervecken. I'm the wife of Jan. And I've been cooking macrobiotically over 50 years, I guess. And raised 6 wonderful kids and now some grandkids, etc. I have a cooking school. And I started macrobiotics because I had health problems. And I thought like I'm going to just do this until I'm better. And then I go back to my nice Bourgondic lifestyle. But what intrigued me was the philosophy behind. And I wanted to know more and more about philosophy. So yeah, I started to study and I never stopped. Today there is a lot of chaos about what to eat and how to prepare it. And I wanted to clarify that a bit, because if we get out of our healthy pattern, it seems to be very difficult for people to go back into a healthy, balanced, and nicely tasting dishes. So, the first question I wanted to ask, I wrote it here. What do people eat everywhere? I mean, what do people eat if they are living in a more natural environment, a natural lifestyle? And the second question is, what does our body need? There's also a lot of chaos and a lot of, let's say, disagreement about that. And I want to pass on the compass of macrobiotics, which is the yin and yang compass, so that you can make out for yourself what you really need best. Because in order to recover balance, we need to know what balance is for human beings. Okay? So first, what do people eat worldwide? Well, if we look at the national dishes of every country, you will see that it's the very same everywhere. Well, the very same kind of food. For instance, what's a national dish in Spain?
Paella.
Paella, yeah. So paella, it's a lovely, lovely dish, and it consists of calaspada rice, which comes from the region of Valencia. And then a lot of things added from vegetables locally grown. And you have paella del mare with some fish in it. And you have paella del monte with some animal food in it. And there's always beans in it. So that's Spain. What's the national dish of Italy? And it's not spaghetti. Spaghetti comes from China. What's a very national dish in Italy that the grandmothers stir for about an hour in it? Anybody, any idea?
Polenta.
Polenta, great. Yeah, polenta. Yeah, that's made from corn. Another grain. Of course, in the East, we have so many rice dishes, so many noodle dishes. For instance, Brasilia, they also have a nice dish. Anybody happens to know it? Feijoada. It's just the same. It's grain with beans, and then I guess some animal food and a lot of local vegetables and herbs. Wherever you go to a country, you will find a national dish which consists of grains, beans, or some animal protein, or some vegetable protein, and local vegetables. Yeah. So everybody around the world eats about the same, but then with the local ingredients. The second question, what does our body need? Well, big chaos in the industry, because every now and then there is a new hit and they say you have to eat this or you have to take that supplement and you know it will heal everything. but I think it's better if you just can judge yourself. So in macrobiotics, that's what I like so much about macrobiotics. We have a compass, and the compass is called yin and yang. I guess many people that are listening know what yin and yang means. Is that true? Yeah? Do I need to explain that, Kinat?
Here's your chance, anybody. If you want to, let's say yes, Mieke.
Okay. All right, then everything in the universe is made of two opposing and contradictory, but yet combined forces, which is yin and yang. We have the heaven's force, which comes from heaven, goes down, and contracts. And then we have the earth's force, which is actually the earth turning around its axis. This force we know very well. It's called, yeah, in Dutch it's called zwaartekracht. What's it in English?
Gravity.
Gravity, yeah. And we know a lot about gravity, okay? About the earth force, I don't remember having learned anything in school. And that makes for a lot of the confusion. If you don't know the two opposing and combining energies of the universe, it's difficult to judge. So for us, yin and yang is our compass. Just a small example. When I was young, we only ate ice cream in the summer or with some festivities, spring, summer. And today people eat ice cream every day. Why do we eat ice cream in the summer? Because it's hot and drying our bodies. And then the sweetness and the cold really relaxes our body. A stew. When do we eat a stew? We eat a stew in the winter because it's a contracting energy with vegetables, beans, and sometimes animal food, or with tofu or seitan, and cooked for a long time on a slow stove. That brings energy together, brings warmth together, and strengthens our hara and intestines. But today people eat whatever, whenever. And that's creating a lot of chaos. It used to be simpler, right? Because there was only local food. There were no deep freezers, there were no fridges. There was ice cream though, for the rich. And how come they had ice cream? Because they didn't have fridges or freezers. You know? Well, rich people had an earth cellar, which is a big hole into the earth. So in the winter it was snowing and it was ice, they would collect the ice and they would hide it in the earth. And because the temperature is always the same there, it would keep throughout, well, I'm not saying the whole year, but until the summer. And yeah, even Japan, they had ice cream, not with milk and sugar, but just with ice and on top a fruit syrup. And that was their ice cream. Okay, so we have our compass, yin and yang. Now, what does our body need? A lot of chaos too. There are two opposing ways of looking at it. We have the West, then we have what I call the East, but we should say natural living people. what does the West say that our body needs? What does it need most? It needs the energy for our brain to work, and what's it called? Carbohydrates.
Ah.
I don't know if that's the way to spell it in English. Yeah, I only know the Flemish, but I will try carbohydrates. Is that it?
That's good enough.
Is that okay?
Okay.
No, that's what our body needs most. The second it needs are protein. Okay. Main protein for people all around the world are beans. Beans are incredibly valuable, terribly cheap, and grow everywhere. And of course, not all kinds of beans, but any country, any area has beans. We have, for instance, lovely beans from Puy-du-Dôme in France, which is about 200 kilometers. And they're grown on volcanic ground, so they're very small, very hearty, very delicious. But of course, other protein like tofu, seitan, and other local protein are possible. Next to protein, we have fats. And yeah, there is a lot of discussion about fats. Main used fats worldwide are sunflower, canola flour, sesame, olive oil. But to say that one oil is better than another, that's not really correct. For instance, olive oil in Italy, it's of course used a lot, but you know why they use a lot in Italy? Because they have a lot of olive trees, but the origin of the olive tree was not for the kitchen, but for lighting their fires. And so when electricity came in the 1900s, there we have all these olive oil, and when it can't be used, it's not necessary. So they started to use it in the kitchen. And of course, the olive oil has some very valuable nutrients, but it's not the best oil. It's just another oil, which has a lot of yin qualities. And I love to use it in the sun a lot. Then we have vitamins and minerals. Okay, vitamins and minerals, and we get them from our food, mainly our food, because we eat fresh food. Yeah, you see here on the table, there's a lot of local fresh food, except tomatoes. I think they come from Italy. You don't need to take extra vitamins or minerals unless you have a specific problem. Now, in the East, or people who live a more natural lifestyle, they discuss food using a compass of yin and yang. So when we have a more yin way of life, like for instance, sitting on a desk, not moving a lot, or in the warm summer, we will use more food that has yin qualities, or we prepare it in a more yin way. So they don't use these different scientific words to divide food. So mainly, the main food our body needs is grains and grain products. For instance, spaghetti is a grain product, couscous, bread. The next is beans, and bean products. Next is vegetables. Vegetables, sea vegetables. That's a big hit these days. You know, all the big chefs are now using sea vegetable dishes. And seeds and nuts. Then we have fruit, local fruit. Then we have salt and others. So you see, that's a very different pattern. But it's, for me, it's much easier to follow this pattern. And yeah, of course, I can check it with this. Yeah. It doesn't say here meat or dairy or other products. But of course, they can be on the list too. When your meals are centered around this pattern, you will feel balanced. You will have energy, you will know when to rest, and you feel light and elevated. But of course, I know that if I go to a restaurant and even though they may have lots of vegetables, often it's very oily or very salty, or it has cheese or something in it. I always feel it the next day. And I'm glad for that, because that reminds me, please, Mieke, check. Now, how can you get back into balance? The easiest way is, unless you've eaten really extreme, easiest way is just don't eat for one day, fast for one day. Drink tea or water and fast for one day. It makes it easier, then you don't have to be spending time in the kitchen and cooking. Huh? Then the next, very often when you've gone out of balance, whole grains are not, what do you say? They're not so tasty anymore. And then I always advise to make compass rice. It's something Giorgio Sauer gave us. And what is it? It's just very long cooked whole grain rice, preferably rice. Could be another grain, could be millet, with umeboshi. Now, umeboshi is one of those fermented foods that is magical. What it does is it brings your acid alkaline level more in balance. And it's very easy. You put it on the stove, you wait for 1.5 hours, and then you have it for a number of meals. You can make it for a number of meals. And the third thing I would advise is to come back to a more balanced condition, is to eat green vegetables, steamed or cooked or lightly sauteed with every meal, not just one, with every meal. So that's a little bit about the theory. Now, I wanted to make some dishes which are very simple. And they're very simple because when you're out of balance, you don't feel like cooking. If you can go and eat at a friend's place, perfect. Okay, Mark, can you get the udon, which is cooked? No, without water. Yeah. No. So, I'm going to make some summer salad with marinated tofu. I have the tofu here. I will slice it into small squares.
Can you please move the rice so that we can see what you're doing? Thank you.
You marinate it for about 15 minutes, should be enough. And there are different things you can marinate in. Just some shoyu, that's the first thing. And you can put some shoyu plus mirin. So I have some shoyu here. And I have some mirin. If you don't have mirin, you don't have to use it, but you could also use another fruit concentrate. Like we have delicious apple concentrates here. So you see, you mix it a few times. That's one. I'm gonna put it here. We have, I thought a red onion, but I don't see it here. That's good. I'm gonna use a radish then. The green part we can steam. Here we have the red part. Oh, thank you, Mark. You can put it down there. So raw red radishes, but it could be also a red onion, very thinly sliced. So these are the radishes. Then I have a courgette here. I'm going to, they've been washed, and then I'm going to, when I find my, oh yeah, I have a grater, and it makes, what do you call that? In English?
Mush.
What?
Mush.
Mush. Oh, I never heard that word. Thank you, Matt. Of course, I use the skin as well. Not the very center. I put that in a soup or a stew, another dish. Right. So we have that. And it says another pickle, but the other pickle I have is from red radishes, so I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use a vegetable that is really from our country. It's wheatloaf. What do you call it in English? Chicory, chicory.
Chicory.
So we have nothing fermented in there, which I try to avoid. Even in a salad, we have at least 2 different cooking styles. So raw and, for instance, fermented. And this way, your dish is much easier to digest. So we have this here. Yeah, that's it. Now, all we have to do is mix it. And then let's imagine that our tofu, well, at least the tofu is marinated. So there is a second cooking style used. Voila. And we have our dish here. How does it look like?
Beautiful.
Yeah. Now, you know, most salads, they have dressings, you know, in the supermarket. There is this whole row of dressings. They're not, yeah, most of them are not very, how do you say, very balanced. Eh? And when I started, there was nothing like dressings except shoyu, mirin, vinegar, rice vinegar, oil, sesame oil, toasted sesame oil, olive oil. Eh? These days we have some good ones. This is oat cream. And the brand is from Oatly. It's a, well, it was, I don't know if it still is, a small company. And it's really delicious. And you just put it on the plate just when you serve. Another company just started by one of our students, Palais. I don't know if you can buy it in other countries than Belgium. Beautiful sauces. This is cucumber and chives. Okay, so we have one dish ready. The next dish I want to make with noodles, deep freeze peas, some carrot slitters, and some nuts or seeds. Mark, can you get some nuts, please? I don't know. Ask Kathleen. Okay. So I have spring, any nuts, almond, hazelnut, and otherwise sunflower seeds. First thing I need to do is to boil the peas. So I have a little Japanese stove here. And some water. Pinch of salt. And here are deep freeze peas. I find them terribly handy. All these recipes are so quick. Eh? I'm really addicted to peas. When I was young, we had a garden with my parents and we had to peel the peas. And I didn't mind it because I could eat a whole bowl of them. They're terribly sweet. Okay. Here I have udon cooked. It's cooked and I will cut it.
Udon is wheat flour noodles.
Yes, wheat flour noodles. I wanted to use some somen, but unfortunately. I forgot the salmon. So, put it in a bowl. And because the Japanese noodles, they all have salt in it, we don't need to boil in salted water. Okay, so we have the udon here. I have some carrots that I will use with the same thing. I love this because I always make saltwater pickles with carrots. And I love to do it with this cutting technique because after 2 days, they are ready. You can cook them with a piece, but I'm not gonna do it. Just mix them. And again, the rest will be used for another dish. It's too complicated to do it till the very end. Okay. What else? Let's look at the piece. Thank you. These are ready. And I don't have any nuts, but I do have some very nice pumpkin seeds. So I'm going to use them. Pumpkin seeds can better be cooked or lightly sauteed. So
Did you wash the seeds first?
if they're clean, I don't wash them. And we are very lucky here in Belgium. They are, they're all very clean. When I started macrobiotics, I washed them, especially the sesame seeds. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to use the show you mirin sauce that I used for the tofu, and they are really finely roasted, not burnt, just slightly roasted. That's an art in itself, you know, to not to let seeds burn. Huh? What people often don't know is that you can cook seeds together with rice or together with beans or in stews. Huh? Okay, now I'm going to so you let it dry up. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
And when it's dried up, we mix it with our noodle salad. You see, it takes very little time in these dishes. Mark, rinse this so I can use it again. Jongen, dat is rap en met water is dat zo gedaan. Voilà, our second dish is ready. Huh? I'm going to put them inside. And the next dish is a little bit more work. Like if you really feel like a stewy, hearty vegetable preparation, which is not meat or fish, I would recommend portobello or chestnut champignons filled with a filling of tofu and other things. So first, what we do, the small and the big one, we just take out the stem, which we can eat. Huh? If it's clean, we can eat it. So,
Mieke, could you move the oat milk aside?
This one?
Yeah, thank you. Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Yeah, okay, yeah, put it there. Thank you. Okay. So we cut, we cut the stems fine. Okay. Then we take some tofu. And we crumble it in our fingers, really fine. Ja, maar dat vind ik natte schoot ik ook niet. Sorry. Then we cut some chives, it could be parsley or whatever, and some leaves of basilicum. Yes. But of course you can take whatever you like. So the chives, no, it's not chives, it's spring onions. They have a sharp taste. Basilicum has a Mediterranean taste. Put in a little bit of dille, dried dille. And some salt. Then some toasted sesame oil, but you could also use olive oil. I'm a little bit addicted to toasted sesame oil. And you fill the champignon. Thank you. And you put some oil in the pan. You press it really well. The little ones, very little is going in, so that's why I prefer to use the big ones. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, put the lid on and let it very softly saute for about 20 minutes. Okay? Je moet natuurlijk nog een deksel hebben voor deze. Sorry. Yeah. So this last one, that was really a dish for craving for animal food. Looking if I have to. It's starting sizzling. I'm going to put a lid and then give it time. Okay. Any questions now?
Mieke, will you be sending us these recipes?
Yes.
Very good.
Yes, because the ones that I sent, I couldn't do it. I can explain them, but it was too complicated to do it because I'm here in the house of my son. Because Mark is the one who's good with the computers, you know.
Thank you, Mark.
Nee, bedankt omdat jij zo helpt. One was the yin and yang potatoes. What I can explain about this is I love potatoes, but of course we know they are pretty yin. And the traditional way of preparing in Belgium is they call them French fries, but they should be Belgian fries. And well, it's a good preparation because it's a yin potato which is fried twice. And the inside keeps soft and the outside is crunchy. But of course it's pretty oily. Now, another way of preparing potatoes is you boil potatoes and you cool them off very cold, like you cool them off and then put them in the fridge. And then the next day you fry the potatoes in a pan with some oil on top and some shoyu, and that's less oil and twice the taste. So I call it yin yang potatoes because I've used the compass of yin and yang to prepare it in a way which is more beneficial. And I also sent another recipe. You know it by heart, Inat?
What was it? To remind me, I can look.
You have to look in because I forget.
The apple recipe.
Yeah, that's right, apple beignet.
Oh, yeah, apple beignet. That's a very Flemish tradition. So that's not a dish to recover your balance. Huh? It's just a delicious dish, which is made in Flanders, and it was always made after the apples were collected. Apples, they were collected and they were either dried or they would be made into compote and kept in the cellar. Pears, people ate once or twice, and then there are other pears they didn't care about. They let them rot under a tree. And that's probably because pears are terribly yin compared to apples. And people at the time, before the wars, ate very simple food. So apple beignet is very simple. It's just a tempura with flour, salt, and water, and often also beer. And a slice of apple will be dipped in it and then fried in oil. Yeah. That's very well explained on the website, so everybody can just copy that. Yeah. But that were not so good examples for a balanced meal. Sorry, but nice recipes. So I have a look here. Unfortunately, you can't taste, huh?
Yeah.
Now, how am I about time?
I think we're about ready for Jan.
Okay, So are there any questions or shall we keep them for after?
If nothing is burning, then let's keep them.
Okay. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mieke.
I will, there is one question, I think.
Yep. You have to unmute. Okay. Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead, Yoki.
Hi, Mieke. Hallo.
Hi.
Dit is Joke van Rotterdam, van de Netherlands. Uit Nederland. En ik wou even reclame voor je boek maken.
How kind
Oh,
of
she
you.
bought your book. Good.
Ik heb jouw boek. En
Yeah.
het is
Nice.
and it's, oh sorry, I'm almost talking Dutch. It's a fantastic book. And if you have people who can understand Dutch, I would absolutely recommend Mieke's book because it's really great. It's big.
Very good.
It's very, yeah, it's fantastic basic information and very inspiring, to keep a long story short.
Well, that's...
Thank you. I completely forgot about bringing one. But yeah, I made this book because many cookbooks have a lot of great recipes, but no one explains the yin-yang theory, the balance, and some medical things in a way people can follow. I mean, people have to understand the theory, not just to do it. And no publisher. Oh, I have to look at my champignon. They're okay. Okay. The publisher said you should make 3 books of it. 1 theory book and 2 cookbooks, because the book is 1.5 kilos.
Yeah.
But I wanted like a kind of a Bible for the new generation.
Yeah.
And you know, I have a lot of students in the Middle East, and they all have that cookbook. What they do is they take the recipe in Dutch and they translate with Google. Because it's only been brought up in Dutch. And to be honest, I have to. I have to be really, it has been so much work, you know, I published it myself. So to make an English translation, not for now, but it's easy to use, you know, just Google Translate. And the recipes are terribly simple.
Yeah.
Okay, let me have a look here. No. Well, thank you so
then,
much.
Mieke. Thank you so much, Mieke. It's really a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So there are more, what do you say, more questions? Just send them to Ginat, and then after we can still do it. Okay?
Very good.